Good morning. Welcome to this week's Fun Activities in 5. This one I'm really excited about because it is a sub-plan activity that I use pretty regularly in my level 2 and level 3 class. And my students actually really enjoy it. And it's a great multi-day sub-plan. So I'm going to be showing you annotations, and the example I'm going to be showing you is from my Seven Wonders set of readings. You could do this as a full gallery walk with these texts, or if you're using them independently, in the example that I'm going to show you, like as sub plans, or maybe with a long-term sub, or maybe with this particular unit's about Mexico. Like if you're reading a novel about Mexico, or if you're studying Mexico or one of the other areas, then it's a great way to just give your students some interesting information and let them engage with it. So for annotations, I give my students this sheet when we're doing the Seven Wonders. You can see a list of the symbols. They're arbitrary. I made them up to go with what I want them to do. So a location, the environment, language, something that you or someone you know has done, something that's confusing, something that's cool because it's a snowflake, something that you want to see, something that involves animals. You could make up your own annotations for any text that you want to do. But these are the symbols I have my students use. They get the text. When I do them independently, they get the text that looks like this. They've got the text up here. They have some questions to answer at the bottom. With the Seven Wonders, the questions are the same for every text because I want students to pick out that information when they're reading. Like, what's the main attraction? Where can you find it? What activities can you do? Write an interesting fact that you learned, because I want them to focus on the big picture. I'm not really concerned about the little details of the language or things they don't know. I just want to know that they got the big picture about this cool place. So when they do annotations, I do mine on paper. I do them on this paper. In the Seven Wonders set, there is a digital version if you don't want to print paper for your students, or if maybe you're out last minute and you need something that you don't have to print, you can do a fully digital version of this in Google Slides and it will work the same way. So students read. As they read, students are going to use a highlighter or a marker or an underline or something. They can highlight. I tell my students they can draw a box around something. So if they have like a colored pen, they could just draw a box around it instead of highlighting over it. They could just underline it in some way. They need to point out the information. Once they point out the information, they're going to choose the symbol or the symbols that describe that information. So, for example, a place or a location. They might read through this and say it's the highest in Mexico. So they might circle de Mexico and then they might use that location symbol because they're showing me they know Mexico is a place. Or maybe they say something that is cool or interesting. And they say it means star or mountain of the star, Star Mountain. And they highlight this and they go, that's pretty cool. Star Mountain, like that's a fun name in the native language for where this volcano is found. Or maybe they come through and they say it's a big glacier. And they say, oh, I really want to see a big glacier because I've never seen one. Or maybe a student has been to Orizaba or Pico de Orizaba, and maybe they do Pico de Orizaba and they put a check mark. And then when I see their paper, I'm going to go, have you been to Pico de Orizaba? And they might say, oh, yeah, I went on vacation to Veracruz in Mexico and we visited Pico de Orizaba, like we climbed a mountain or whatever. Um, and for me, that's a good way for me to go, actually, the first time I ever went outside of the US, I went to Orizaba in Veracruz and I went to Pico de Orizaba. And it's a good way for me to kind of make those connections on the back end with students. You don't have to do annotations with the Seven Wonders. I will link them below if you're interested. You can make up your own symbols. You can do this with any text. I personally find that annotations work really well for a text that is higher level than I plan on my students understanding 100% of, or a text where there's so much in it. I just want students to grab onto something. Um, you can also do it with a text that is super important that you want to be able to really quickly see what students know and don't know just by walking around and looking at what they marked on their paper. I do a practice annotation round with my students before I ever have them do annotations in class. We do it in level 1. Highly recommend doing a practice round together. Just put up a couple sentences on the board, give them a couple of symbols, have them call out how they would mark it so they can see the example of how to do it on their own paper. Annotations are not just a world language strategy. Your kids have probably done them in their ELA or their English class, which will make this easier for the transition for them. I hope that you enjoyed annotations, and I hope to see you next time.